Hello, hello, hello. Hello, hello, hello. Can you can you hear me now? And is the sound clear? Great. Now I switch back to the presentation, but I want to know if the sound is good. Okay, so this is a test of the sound with the slide presentation. And if I were to go to the slide presentation, I will try to page down. I want to make sure that you can see that. Okay, the agenda and so forth. And make sure that you can actually see that in the sound. And then I'm going to switch back to myself. And I want you to make sure that you can still see the same. You can see me at the same time. The sound is good, both in the picture as well as the presentation. Great. I'm going to move the chair from the corner. Great. We're set as far as as far as the desktop is concerned. I'm just going to do the same thing on my laptop when the time comes, not now. But at least I'm on. So How about now? Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Inshallah, we'll begin in about 3 minutes. I would like to test the sound system to make sure that the sound is going through. Ask one of the staff who's on the broadcast to be able to confirm the sound is going through. But inshallah, we'll start in about 3 minutes or so. Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Alhamdulillahi wa salatu wa salamu ala Rasulillahi sallallahu alayhi wa sallam wa ala alihi wa sahbihi ajma'een. Brothers and sisters, Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. On behalf of Dar El Salam, I would like to welcome you to this Dar El Salam Hajj webinar presentation. My name is Azhar Zaidi. I have been with Dar El Salam for about 25 years, and I'm part of an excellent senior management team with whom I work in planning and managing both Hajj and Umrah operations. And so on behalf of Dar El Salam, I'm honored to serve you and to help you prepare for this sacred journey, inshallah. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala bless you and reward you for your intention to perform Hajj and grant you a safe journey to His house. I'm going to switch over to the presentation, and I'll get back to myself and to answer any questions towards the end. So before I begin, just a few housekeeping items. There is a chat function on your Ustream. That chat function is really intended for help with any technical issues regarding this broadcast. But if you have any questions regarding the content of the presentation, I would ask you to make note of those questions, because the question and answer session will be at the end of the webinar presentation. And chances are that if you have a question, it may already be answered during the course of the webinar, so hold on to those questions. But do send them to ask@darelsalam.com. Send them to ask@darelsalam.com, and we will respond to your questions at the end of the webinar. Thank you for your patience and understanding, inshallah. So the webinar is about Dar es Salaam's 2017 Hajj packages. It is just as important that before you select, or as you select the Hajj packages, that you also look at the company itself, the facilities that the company provides. People think of hotels and airlines, but the facilities in Mina and Arafat and Muzdalifah, which is the core essence of Hajj, which is where you'll spend 5 days, that is just as understood as to what those facilities and services are. We'll talk about our hotels that we use in Medina, Mecca, and of course our Azizia apartment hotel, the types of transportation that is used during the manasik of Hajj, and then it comes to the relationship we have and how we prepare you for Hajj. That is just as important. What do we provide for you, and what facilities, what media we make available for you to understand both the religious and the logistical aspects of Hajj. And then we get into the organization, that how do we then support you and serve you during the services, during Hajj itself, the organization and services. And finally, once you understand the whole vast array of the facilities and services and the people that work with you, we'll get into our Hajj packages and what they are and what are the differences, etc., inshallah. About Dar es Salaam itself, we are most definitely privileged. It is privileged to us that we provide Hajj services to North American Muslims and have been doing so for the last 30 years. We have the most experienced staff with decades of experiences. I mentioned to you that I've been with Dar es Salaam about 25 years, and there are many people like me who've been doing Hajj and Umrah services and operations and management for decades. And this experience is not only for those who work in the United States, but also our staff in Saudi Arabia. Over the years, we have established credibility with major airlines, hotels, Saudi authorities that we have to work with, catering companies, transportation companies, and you name it. Almost anyone who touches Hajj or Hajj services, they know of Dar es Salaam. Our offices are located in New York City, Houston, Fort Lauderdale, Los Angeles, and Toronto, Canada. Our job is to make sure that we work hard to earn and keep your trust, earning your trust and keeping your trust, so that you experience this thing and then you'll come back and become a loyal customer of Dar es Salaam for any other services Dar es Salaam provides in Islamic world travel. So that's our experience, over 30 years worth. How do we actually gauge some of this work? We actually send out a very extensive survey. Once Hajj is over and you come home, you have seen everything. You have experienced working with our offices. You have experienced the type of things that we did to prepare you. You've experienced our services over there, people-wise as well as facilities. And so there's a very extensive survey that we sent out. It has something like 35, 40 questions in it. And we want you to fill that out and you return that back to us. And everybody, including the president and the executives, look at this thing and they look at what is it that we can do to improve. And this is something that we take very seriously. So in 2015, at the end of Hajj 2015, when we did this survey, 96% of the folks that came back said they were either satisfied or very satisfied with our services throughout the Hajj. And then in 2016, we actually even topped that, and the result was 97% satisfied. It's a very extensive response. This is not based on one or two people responding. As far as survey is concerned, the response that we actually receive is higher than the average survey responses in general. We are #1 Hajj and Umrah service provider in North America, and as I mentioned, we work hard to earn and keep your trust. Alhamdulillah. Now, before I get into the details of our services and our facilities, it's important to understand that this seminar is for educational purposes, and there are many variables when it comes to Hajj that are outside of our control. Whether they are rules and regulations by government officials, by the Ministry of Hajj, by whoever, their conditions. And so it is very important for you to understand that we're going to show you what we have been doing in the past. More so we'll show you what we did in 2016, which was something we improved upon from 2015. However, this may change without notice, subject to all of the variables that are outside our control. So let's start with our Mina camp. I'm showing you a map of Mina camp, and you can see two things. You can see a Dar El Salam camp is shown in gold color, and you can see where it is in proximity to the Jamarat. And the reason I'm showing you such a map from so high up is because you can also see the North American camp. These are the two areas where people from North America normally go and stay for Hajj. The North American camp is the default. And people ask me about the services between North American camp and Dar El Salam camp, and all I can say is that they're not even comparable. I wouldn't even take the accommodations or the bathrooms or the meal or the transportation. There's no comparison between the two. North American camp is about 45 to 50 minutes, as an example. 45 to 50 minutes, one way walking distance to the Jamarat, and you have to get to the Jamarat to throw, to do Rami of Jamarat, to throw stones at the shaitan, at least 3 days. And so this is 45 to 50 minutes, and there are no transportation. What you see, the roads in the valley itself, they're completely shut down because there's sheer amount of people. So you really have to go through 115, 116 degrees temperature to get here to throw the Jamarat and then get back to your camp. That's one example, because the transportation is not available within the valley itself. Another example is that you have boxed meals in North American camp. You don't have open buffet or hot meals. The third example I can tell you is that the North American camp, the washrooms are all public washrooms. There's nothing reserved for a particular company. And so the cleanliness and all of that is done by the authorities that put that up, and they're not supplemented further by anybody. And then, of course, the living facility is just about the same. Enough said about that. So what I want to show you is that people look at the proximity of the camp, but they often forget the services within the camp. And as I said, there's absolutely no comparison between the two at all with the examples that I've given you. This is a closer view of the North American camp, the Dar El Salam camp. You can see that our camp is located right on King Fahd Road, across from the Jamarat, and then you can see that on the lower left side of your screen you will see is Mina train station number 3, because we do use the Al-Mashayir train during the manasik of Hajj, and so you have to get to the train station and you have to return back from the train station as well. So this is the proximity of the camp, Jamarat, and the train station. This is a view that is more realistic, because when you see the picture of it with people and traffic, then you get to have some appreciation for what goes on. You can see the Dar El Salam camp, where I've noted that in red. You can see a ramp going to the Jamarat, and you can see the King Fahd Road leading to the tunnel, and that tunnel is the end of Mina. Those cylindrical buildings that you see in the picture are actually escalators and elevators to the various level of the Jamarat. And so this is a view. Just look at the number of buses that you see that are sitting there. Look at the number of buses that are lined up there. That's just a view of the camp when people were coming in for Rami Jamarat at that time. So this is a view. I'm going to show you a view now that if I were to stand on the main gate of Dar es Salam's camp and look in front of me, this is the view on the top left side. That's what it looks like from front of the camp. And just to give you an idea, this is what the camp looks like, which is the bottom right side of the view when you're looking at outside the camp on King Fahd Road. And you can see how close we are to the access building that has the escalators and the elevators to take you to the Jamarat. So that's just the idea behind the location of our camp. Now, when it comes to setting up of the camp itself, the services and the facilities, we actually take part in the construction of the facilities. Just to give you an idea, once the Hajj is over, The camp is torn down. The actual sinks and the toilets are removed. The water is shut off. The electricity is shut off. And any construction material used is absolutely removed. If you were to go there today, you will see nothing. You will see actually a pile of leftover garbage from last year's tearing down of the camp. Nothing would work. So once the occupancy is given to us, before you show up, about 10 days, 8 days, 10 days before, a team of people, an army of people, I would say, go in and we take part in the construction of the facilities. Our tent design allows for privacy as well as congregational gathering for prayers and lectures. It allows for maximum usable space. There is a defined usable space per person, but we try to maximize this to how we're going to design it. We actually provide new furnishings for our customers, not used bedding from last year. And in terms of the bathrooms in the camp, we have the best people to bathroom ratio in the camp, period. Of course, men and women have separate accommodations within the respective camp. We use a sturdy gypsum board construction. What it does, it removes the walls of the tent, which is canvas material, into more like a drywall. And it provides for extra space and also provides insulation to keep the tents cool inside. Remember, the expected outdoor temperature, as you can see on the screen, is between 110 and 116 Fahrenheit. And that's based on what it was last year. And as we're moving back into summer, and I know the temperatures have gone even higher than that in the summer over there. We actually used real air conditioning units, not the air conditioning units that are water-cooled units or desert coolers. We provide indoor carpeting inside the camp and outdoor carpeting for walking between the camp. New bedding for each person includes pillow, bed sheet, and blanket. Half walls between tents for good air circulation and privacy. And of course, when you take your luggage, when we tell you to minimize your luggage, you're going to need luggage for sure. You need change of clothes and toiletries and things you would need in Mina. We're going to be there for a few days. But we want to maximize the space, so we build luggage racks. Gives you more ground space. And of course, garbage bins outside each tent to keep it clean, besides literally hundreds of Dar El Salam workers wearing t-shirts to make sure the camp is secure and clean. Here is a view of the camp, and what I have done here is I have actually color-coded the camp. When you see that, this is one example of a setup that was done a couple of years ago. What you see, for example, in golden color on the bottom right side is where we had our super deluxe program for men stay on that side. And the red in between was the common washroom area, and the golden color on the top side where the women actually stayed. But this whole camp is a Dar El Salam camp. You stay inside the camp and you don't get lost. You can still, as a husband and wife, or family members that are having sleeping accommodations separate and required to be separate, can still meet inside. And you can see the red is the bathroom facilities, and then you see this bluish color, that was our executive lounge and some of the executive accommodations. The green was another program, the yellow was another program. So the programs that you join in Dar El Salam, they are all kept together. The only thing we do is keep the men separate from the women, and the common washrooms are pretty well Dar El Salam's washrooms. And in the areas within are designated areas for things like catering setup, for example. I'll show you some of the pictures so you'll have a bit better understanding of that, right? So this is nowhere near to be compared to North American camp. Nowhere near to be compared. Trust me on this one. I think in terms of expenses that goes into building this, you can multiply in multiples of what goes on as to what is provided between the two. Here's an example of a camp after it's set up. I'm showing you 4 pictures. You can see from the picture that the dry walls have been put up. You can see the slipper racks, the places, pouches for the slippers there. You can see that we actually even named the streets. That's us doing it, so that people know where to go. You can see a big sticker on the wall on the top left side that says Program 1 Women. And then also on the top right side, you can see a sticker that says room number 413. Because you have so many rooms, you need to know which room you came from, and then you can go back to that room. By the way, if you stay within Dar El Salam's camp, you're not going to get lost, for sure. I can guarantee you that. That should be a fear you should remove from yourself. And the purpose of the picture on the bottom right side is to show you that even at nighttime it is well lit, the areas inside. So people are inside, you can see that. I want to also point out to you on the top right side where you see a picture that says program for men, you can see these blue coolers. These are insulated coolers. So we have coolers and fridge throughout the camp that contains ice and either contains juice or water or pop or actual cold drinks. So you have those in there. So we want to make sure that in the heat you remain hydrated. And you can see in one of the pictures in the top right side as to how close it is in terms of the access building to the Jamra. Now let's talk about catering. I mean, I'm going to show you the inside part of the camp in a moment, and I'm going to show the bedding and so forth with respect to when I describe each of the programs, and then you can see exactly what the accommodations are. But this is in general what the outside looks like. So a lot of effort goes into it, and we actually have a video that shows what the camp looked like before it was being constructed as such. But I'll show you the inside part as well. Just bear with me for a second. When it comes to food, we use among the best and reputable catering companies. We don't want anyone to get sick. We want to make sure the food is clean, it's hygienic, and it has variety. Of course, variety is a very open-ended subject. We want to make sure that there's as much variety as possible. And we'll set up catering stations for respective Hajj programs because you have 2,000, 2,500 people. Well, there's not a single place for them to go. So we're going to separate the catering stations by program, and we further separate the catering station for men and women separately. And we'll show you an example of that. So the hot meals are prepared in the camp's kitchen because you cannot expect to actually prepare the hot meals outside, get stuck in traffic. By the time you come in 115 degrees temperature, the meal would spoil. So hot meals are actually prepared in the camp's kitchen. They're kept in insulated coolers. That's why we choose the best and reputable catering companies that have done this. They have the proper equipment, they have the clean equipment, and so they are also available to serve in the different buffets that are set up. I mentioned already hot and cold drinks, and these are tea and coffee stations throughout the camp, 7 by 24. You also have fridge and insulated coolers with a variety of cold drinks. There has never been a shortage of those drinks at all in the number of years that I have been with Dar El Salam. I can assure you of that. Here's an example of a open buffet station that has been set up. You can see that it is between the tents, and because there will be maybe 10 minutes, 5 minutes that you have to stand up in line, at the very edge of the buffet you can see there's a fridge there with drinks in it. I'm sure there's drinks also on this part as well, and you can see that we have actually covered it up on the top so that you don't get exposed to the sun while you're standing there and getting your meal. And I'll show you some more pictures later on, inshallah. Let's talk about the bathrooms. We are from North America. We have a certain requirement for the bathrooms to be clean and the certain types of toilet that we can use. So we actually use North American style toilets, and they are all brand new. As I said, every year after Hajj they are removed. Brand new toilets are installed. Ceramic tiles are on the bathroom floor. Within each stall there are a handheld shower within the bathroom stall. There's a vanity basket as well in the bathroom stall. We use new sinks with thick rubber mats on the floor because as you splash the water in the sinks, inevitably, because it's being used by so many people, the floor would get wet. We don't want you to slip and fall, so we have thought about that. We actually put rubber mats to insulate you from slippage. We also have something that no other company does. No other company does that. We actually have full-time attendants. Women attendants in women's bathroom and men attendants in men's bathroom, and their job is to make sure that the bathrooms are clean. Sometimes you'll come out of the stall, they'll hold off the next person until they go clean it before you go in. And they're also ensuring there to ensure that adequate supplies are always available to you. So that's an example of that. I'm going to show you a picture of it. This is our deluxe camp. You can see that all of these that you see, the mirrors that you see, the sinks that you see, the rubber mats that you see, they're all installed brand new. The bathroom are done every year from scratch. And so, of course, I'm not showing the stall, but you can get an idea what that would look like with a North American toilet as well. Okay. Now moving on to our Arafat camp, we are going to use a Mashayikh train. So how far should the camp be? Has to be near the train station. That's what we do. Large German-style tents to accommodate each program. Again, we're talking about Arafat being set up for a period of a few hours, literally for a period of a few hours. So we have large tents to accommodate each program. They're separate for men and women. We use industrial air conditioning units in each tent, indoor carpeting, ample sitting area for and also used for congregational prayers and lectures, outdoor carpeting throughout, North American style toilets with attendants to keep clean, open buffet meals, and here's where we want to make sure that you are always hydrated, so we provide plenty of cold drinks because of the expected hot weather during Hajj. Here's an example of a deluxe program that you can see those 2 units on the back. These are huge industrial units. As a matter of fact, I remember last year as some of the people arrived in Arafat, we had turned on the AC units and zipped shut the tents, and their complaints was it was like a fridge, it was cold. So we actually provided the AC units, of course with usage of people going in and out, that cold doesn't remain, but given the temperature and how high it goes, it's still, you want something to be fairly comfortable. These are the people sitting here. You can see some people sitting here making dua, for example. This is prior to the afternoon session, I can tell you that much. And you also have additional fans where needed. Here's another example of the people sitting. This is before the Dhuhr time, so this is before the wuquf. They're just waiting, they're just relaxing. And you can see an example of a buffet set up behind. This is the big German style tent. And an example of people actually at the buffet within the tent itself. You have people, women on the one side and men on the other side. This is all in Arafat. And here's an example of the bathroom in Arafat. I mean, of course, you know, this is taken before people showed up as such. But again, imagine the effort and the expense that goes into setting it up for someone who's going to be from North America, using North American lifestyle and have some exclusivity, if you will. And so we actually go through that expense in putting tiles in and the sinks in and the mirrors in and attendants in to keep the clean. You can see the bathroom stalls on the right side as such, so that those few hours you'll have peace of mind, because this, you know, the manasik is the most important aspect of Hajj, and Arafat is the most important aspect within the manasik itself. So you want to make sure that you're comfortable with that. Here's an example of people in the outdoor carpeting outside program 1 tent. You can see that some of them are chilling on those coolers, which has all the cold drinks, you know, drinking and waiting. Some of them actually have their, I believe this is in the morning. On the right side, you can see they have their breakfast or tray. Some of them are actually inside the tent. They're just waiting for the appropriate time in the afternoon when the prayer services and the khutbah begins and the wuquf of Arafat begins. Here's an example of people inside the tent, on the top left side, standing there and pleading their case to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala for forgiveness and guidance and the best of this dunya and the akhirah. And then there are those who wish to do so outdoors, and you can see them outside on the top right side, on the bottom right side, doing the same thing. So it's really up to you and how much time you want to spend and where you want to stand. But our job is to make sure that you're comfortable as comfortable can be given the environment and the condition, so that you actually maximize your time in Arafat in the most satisfactory manner, inshallah. Let's talk about Muzdalifah. Now, when I talk about Muzdalifah, I want to tell you 2 things about Muzdalifah. Number 1, what it is and what it is that we end up doing. So let me tell you first about what Muzdalifah is. As the government allows some land space to different countries' pilgrims, they allow land space in Mina, they allow land space in Arafat, and they allow the setup to happen. Muzdalifah is none of those. Muzdalifah actually has no dedicated area throughout Muzdalifah for pilgrims for any country. It is actually, all area is a public area. Wherever you want to stop and stay, it is public for pilgrims worldwide. All washrooms are general public washrooms. Just imagine that for a moment. You get off the train station, you're searching for a space, somewhere you can park down, and then you have to go to the washroom to make wudu. And you might be thirsty, you might want to eat something, you want to pray Maghrib and Isha. You are in the manasik of Hajj. You just came off from Arafat, the most significant day of Hajj, and this is the evening time. You are tired, and there are no facilities. There's no, all the bathrooms are public bathrooms, for example. No meals or drinks, no organized congregational prayers. It's really on a first come, first occupied bases. That's what Muzdalifah is. And I have had the privilege of performing Hajj many times, and I've seen both aspects of it. And here's what Dar El Salam does. We actually try our best to get a private area for our customers. We pick that area near the station. We actually go out and carpet the area so that people have a place to stay and pray and relax and sleep. We actually try to include within our area at least one public bathroom, or at least one side of the public bathroom, and try to restrict that public bathroom to Dar es Salaam people only. It doesn't always work, but that's what we try. Last year we also had packaged hot meals and drinks. We always provide some sort of a food and drink, but last year we had hot meals and drinks. We've had hot meals and drinks before in the past. And we also allow for prayers to be held in a congregation. As you leave Arafat and you come into Muzdalifah, you don't come all on one train. You know, some people will get on one train and get to Muzdalifah with Dar es Salaam people guiding them as to what this area is. And as soon as they come in, they make wudu, they want to have congregational prayers. Others will come in a later train or an hour later. So we have facility where you can come in. Here's an example of people coming in. This is our private area. If you look to the right side, you will see a little beige color wall. It's a cloth wall. That's what covered it. And you can see the blue and the pink in the back. These are the men's and women's washrooms. This is within our area, and these are the people that are actually praying Maghrib and Isha combined as they came in from Arafat. And you can see here is another group that arrived a bit later, also doing the same thing. And you can see in the background, some people are relaxing as such. And we had set up a station. Here's an example on the top left side where we had a very nice chicken and rice with bread, prepackaged and hot meal coming out of the coolers. And we also had some patties, some burgers coming out from, again, an insulated and clean cooler for those who are coming in looking for something to eat. And they'll take it back to the place where they're staying to actually have that. And an example of a hot and cold drinks setup that was there in Muzdalifah goes. We want to make sure that you have plenty to drink when it comes to hydration. 2016 had a little breeze in Muzdalifah. 2015, the temperature is fairly hot, but the unfortunate thing was there were actually no breeze at all. So you really felt the heat, and we want to make sure that should something like that happen, the least you can do is be hydrated. You know, over there, there's nothing else. You sleep under no tents. You sleep under an open sky in Muzdalifah. And of course, there are two different times to leave Muzdalifah. One is after midnight or 1 o'clock, and one is in the morning. And we make those arrangements, and more information about those arrangements can be found as we prepare you for Hajj in the coming months, inshallah. As far as transportation is concerned, during the manasik of Hajj, we will be using the Al-Mashayir train. Al-Mashayir train consists of about 12 cars. It's a brand new train, fairly clean. I would say it's a very clean train. And it's been in use for about 6 years. And each train holds about 250 passengers. There are 3 stations in each of these areas of the manasik. 3 in Mina, 3 in Muzdalifah, and 3 in Arafat, and they're numbered. And our camp is near each one of those stations. That is our station. So for example, we are going to be in Mina camp, and that picture I showed you earlier was across from Mina station number 3. Last year we went from Mina station number 3 to Arafat station number 3. In the evening we came to Muzdalifah station number 3, and then we came back to Mina station number 3. So these are all something that is provided to us as facilities are set up and the land is allocated. And an example I'm showing you is when we have to go to Arafat, this is how we leave our camp. We leave in groups, we leave organized, we leave with plenty of people and signs. And so we take these access elevators and escalators in one of those cylindrical buildings. We come up to the ramp, and then we walk to the train station to board the train. Once the train moves, by the way, you know, to get from Mina to Arafat is about 15 minutes. I mean, how does that compare to a bus? A bus could be 2 hours, I mean, the traffic-wise. So that's the good thing about the train. Alhamdulillah. Here's an example of people getting ready. You can see people, Dar es Salam workers, they're all wearing this yellow t-shirt. They're carrying the Dar es Salam site. So the workers are all getting prepared. You can see how close we are to that cylindrical building. This is the back side of our camp. If you come out, it's hardly much of a walk to get up to those access buildings. and then this is where we sort of leave in an organized fashion. You can see each of the Dar El Salam person carrying a backpack, and you can see some people actually have signs, and they're going up the escalators. That building inside, this is the picture inside the cylindrical building. And when we get to the top, we'll make sure that we gather. These are some of the group leaders, making sure they're all together. And the government provides these golf cart services once you get to the top, for those who have difficulty walking, to take them to the train station itself. Alhamdulillah. Here's an example of the train station itself. If you can look at this picture that I'm showing you, you are seeing two sets of doors. You're seeing a door on the left side, which will allow you to board the train, and you'll see a door on the back side, which allows you to enter the platform. So in order to control the crowd, they allow X number of people to enter the platform, and they shut the back door so it's not crowded. But despite that, to be honest with you, there are times when it really gets crowded in here to get onto the train. But the train stations are generally very clean, and the trains are also very clean. Here's a picture of the people inside the train. There are some seats, some standing areas. It's about 250 per train. So yes, you can take wheelchair with you. You can take your backpack with you. But we leave the rest of the luggage in Mina, and more of that information as to how we manage the luggage and what goes with you and what stays behind, what gets transferred on your behalf. All of that will be mentioned later on, inshallah. When it comes to using buses, for example, when you are in Mina, you have to go to the Haram to make Tawaf al-Ifada. And when Hajj ends, some of you will have to go back to your hotels or go back to make Tawaf al-Wada. In general, we use clean air-conditioned buses between Mina, Haram for Tawaf al-Ifada, Tawaf al-Wada. In general, we try to use as much as possible the latest model bus so we don't run into any mechanical issues, but we use clean air-conditioned buses, alhamdulillah. Dar El Salam was the first company to actually start using golf carts in their Mina camp, and that's for ease of pilgrims. So because of the road closures that happens quite frequently, and you have to now go from, let's say, your camp to go make Tawaf al-Ifada. Well, the roads are closed and the buses cannot come into the camp. Well, by the way, the outside edge where you board your buses is only 1.25 miles away. So for a healthy person, it's not much of a walk. It's a short walk. But for those who need assistance, we have those golf carts for transporting them to the edge of the tunnel, approximately 1.25 mile between Mina camp. And I'll show you some pictures of what it looks like. This is a picture outside our camp where people are boarding the golf carts to be taken to that edge of the tunnel so that they can then get onto their transportation, because the roads in front where the golf carts are standing, you can see that road on the bottom left picture. You can see on the top one, these golf carts are actually on the King Fahd Road, which has been shut down for traffic. So we use this to help those who need help in getting to their buses, inshallah. The types of buses that we use is an example of that. What I'm trying to show you is that they are clean, newer buses, but we also want to show you that they have actually Dar Es Salam signs. So this is a program in which we have group number 2, and you are going to be grouped, and you will know your group number. It'll be on your ID cards, and you will know your group leader assigned to your group, and these are also found on the buses themselves. And on the bottom right side are some of our support staff standing in front of a bus with a beautiful smile. Glad to serve you during your trip. When you are in Mina, or when you are in Aziziyah and you have to come to the Haram, where do you go? What we have done traditionally over the years is that we have actually picked a place called Al Shuhada Hotel, which is about 450 meters from the Haram, so we can access that easily, because everything else around the Haram is shut down with barricades on the road. Traffic is closed. So we use this a little bit further away. 450 meters is about 15 minutes walk maximum, so that the buses can bring you here. We actually have the facilities rented inside. You can go in there, you can actually rest, you can relax, and you can make your wudu, you can have your tea and drink. But generally speaking, this is where you get dropped off to go to the Haram, whether you're doing it for Umrah, or you're going for Tawaf al-Ifada or for Tawaf al-Wada, and you have to return back to the camp or to Aziziyah. So this is something that is very unique. As far as services are concerned, it's something that Dar El Salam provides, and I wanted to share that with you as well, that we look after every aspect of your trip. Where are you going to go? How are you going to get there? What will be available over there? How are you going to get back? Who will be there to support you? This place is always staffed with Dar El Salam person. So if a bus is stuck in traffic, you're not standing outside in the street in this temperature, in a hot temperature. You're inside the air conditioning room in the hotel that we've rented for you, so that until such time that the bus arrives, then somebody from Dar El Salam will inform you, you can come down and board the bus. We think of every aspect of your trip throughout. So it's much more than hotels and airlines, and that's the message I want you to understand. When it comes to hotels and itself, so here's an example of when you look at our packages, you will see, as far as Medina is concerned, you'll only see 3 hotels mentioned in all of the 7 packages that we have. You have Anwar al-Medina Move and Pick, you have Medina Hilton, and you have Shaza al-Medina. Look at the proximity of those 5-star hotels to the Haram itself. So that's the type of hotel that we use. Plus we have dedicated staff in the hotel that helps you not only check in, but there are issues that can or cannot be resolved. All of that happens with our staff that's there in each one of those hotels. And the proximity is mentioned already. If you look at the hotels in Mecca, for example, our hotels in all of the programs that we're using are, for example, the Fairmont Hotel, which is the clock tower itself. We use the Swiss Hotel, which is, again, part of the clock tower building complex. You can access it through the same clock tower complex. We also use the Hyatt Regency Hotel and Jabal al-Omar. We also use Dar al-Tawheed, and you have access to the Haram through either King Fahd Gate or King Abdulaziz Gate. The purpose here is very simple. You are in close proximity to the Haramain. You are steps away from getting onto the courtyard of the Haram itself. And you also are in a place where you have access to other facilities around you. Bin Dawood stores, money exchangers, and all of that will be explained to you as part of the preparation for Hajj when that time comes, inshallah. But our hotels are 5-star hotels in close proximity to the Haramain. Each program, regardless of which program you choose, each program has a stay in one of those hotels during their trip, both in Mecca and Medina. And when you're on the hotels, you have open buffet breakfast and dinner. And there's a reason for that. Open buffet allows for flexibility in meal timing. Breakfast is from 6:30 in the morning till 10:30. You don't feel like eating at 6:30 in the morning. You want to get some rest. You want to come in at 8:30 or 9 o'clock. All that is possible. There are clean meals. There are staffed people that are there, and there are a variety of meals available to you, both for breakfast and dinner. Hardly anybody actually goes out and have lunch. People normally snack during the time frame, but these are the 2 meals that are included. We also, as I mentioned, dedicated Dar El Salam staff assigned to work with you, and I also should tell you that when you're traveling with us, your group leaders and your imams stay in the same hotel with you, so you have access to them as well. More on that later, inshallah. We also provide religious lectures in the hotel, so you're constantly available. The imams are all available, whether if you're in Medina and you're about to go to Mecca, there's a lecture on Hajj just to refresh your memory as to about the fiqh of Umrah, for example. You have group leaders also giving you instructions on the administrative aspects of Hajj, about your luggage, what's next, etc. So they're both accessible to you, and they're in the same place as you are. For those programs that are staying in Aziziyah, I think these are the deluxe programs 1 and 2. Just want you to show you where the apartment hotel is. We call them the apartment hotel. You're looking at a picture where you can see the apartment hotel on the top right side, and you can see our Mina camp at the bottom. This is about 1.25 miles distance. I call it about 1 mile distance. And the distance between the apartment hotel and the Haram is more like 3.5 miles, almost 4 miles as such. So this is all within Mecca, if you will. This Aziziyah is a suburb of Mecca as such. And this is a closer view of that hilly area where our apartment hotels are. We have 3 buildings, right? And they are very close to the camp in Mina. So these are dedicated Dar es Salam furnished apartments. And they are limited. And so each room has quad occupancy. In other words, 4 people to a room. If you end up selecting a program which has Aziziyah accommodation, and you select a double occupancy, I want to be with my wife, I want you to know that the double occupancy applies to the hotels in Mecca and Medina, but while you are in Aziziyah, everybody in quad occupancy, 4 women together and 4 men together. And Azizia stay is all, for all programs, is like that. You're provided with open buffet breakfast, lunch, and dinner. We actually have the shuyukhs with you, staying with you. You have the group leaders that are assigned to you, staying with you. So the religious lectures and administrative guidance is still provided to you in the building itself. We do provide shuttle to the haram at specific times and days. Generally, it's 2 times a day. You can go there for Fajr, come back, and then it'll drop you off to Shuhada Hotel. You do your Fajr, you come back. And then, of course, after Asr, you go and pray Maghrib and Isha, and then come back in the evening and have your meal. Housekeeping services are available as needed, if you require it. And the room is accessible. So when you leave the room, when you leave Azizia, and you are now in Mina, and you've just come back from Arafat, and you say, look, can I go back to the room during the day? Of course, you must spend the evenings in Mina. It's required as part of the manasik. You can actually go there. You can actually go to the room that's accessible to you. At least a room is made available to you to use the washroom or rest a little bit and to come back. Again, Azizia accommodation only applies to the deluxe programs 1 and 2, and I'll explain the programs later on. It doesn't apply to other programs. This is an example of our building. This is building number 2. You can see what the front looks like on the top left side. You can see on the top right side, brother is giving the adhan, preparing for one of the salah. And then you can see Sheikh Abdul Hakim Muhammad giving a lecture. This is normally after the prayer, as an example. So this is an example of the building. This is the buffet setup in, I think this is building number 2. And people take their meals and they can actually sit down, get to know each other, have questions. And with you are your group leaders. With you are your shuyukhs right in this setting when you are in Azizia. Now, when it comes to preparing for Hajj, we don't leave anything behind. We definitely don't leave anything behind. We start with the manasik of Hajj teleconference calls. It is going to be 1 call for each program. It's presented by experienced qualified imam. We start the process of the manasik of Hajj normally during Ramadan. So Ramadan weekends will have programs, 1 call for your program on this day, another call for another program another day. And it is presented according to the itinerary of the program. You have the Q&A session. The calls are recorded, and the recording are made available to those who are unable to attend. We also have video sessions on spiritual aspects of Hajj. There are several sessions held by experienced imams. As a matter of fact, when we're done with this presentation, you are on Ustream right now. If you go at the bottom of the Ustream, not now, but later on, you will see some of those video sessions that were held last year, and then people were able to access it. And these are spiritually uplifting sessions. How do you maximize your Hajj, etc. And so these are held on Sundays. The Q&A sessions are included, and they're meant to be spiritually uplifting on topics related to Hajj. We also had sessions held in Arabic. We also had Dr. Salah Al-Sawi. We also held a session in Urdu. We had a session held by Sister Hannah Gamal for women's issues during Hajj, which is also recorded and available. And these are for allowing you to either attend the sessions on Sundays or watch the recording at your leisure as part of preparing you for Hajj. We also have in-person administrative seminars. These are very extensive. Something closer to what I'm doing, except far more extensive. These are held in Ramadan. So the one in New Jersey that was held in July last year, we had about 300 people in attendance. It was broadcasted, for example, and it covered all of the administrative aspects of Hajj. What do I take with me? What is it going to be like when I land there? And what happens if I have a medical emergency? We cover all of that in 3 regional seminars. New Jersey was the big one. Dallas was broadcasted from New Jersey with people attending there. Los Angeles was done in cooperation with the Shura Council of Southern California. And Toronto, for across all Canada, was done in cooperation with the Islamic Institute of Toronto. We used their facilities, and we had a whole 3 hours to walk through the logistical aspects of Hajj. It was also broadcasted, and most of them were streamlined over the internet, and seminars are also recorded and made available for later viewing, and this covers the administrative aspect. In-person manasik of Hajj classes were held after Ramadan. So we did one with Sayyidah Khadija Center with Dr. Slimi in Mississauga, Canada. We worked in partnership with Qalam Institute, very extensive seminar in Dallas, Texas. We work with Quran Academy with Sheikh Kifa Mustafa in Chicago on that subject, Manasik of Hajj. And of course, we had 2 weekends of 2 hours each, Manasik of Hajj, with the Islamic Institute of Toronto for all those who are in Canada. Most seminars are also streamlined, and they're also recorded and made available for later viewing. But there's no, you can always view it later, but we always encourage people, if you can attend in person, and that's why we make them available on weekends, either Saturday or Sunday, or sometimes Sunday is possible. And we try to give you advance notice so you know and you can plan it, because I know we're all busy, but the most you'll gain out of this Hajj is based on how much you really prepare yourself for it as such. There's something else we do, and that is something called the Dar El Salam Hajj Forum. This is something online. It's an interactive repository of information. That's not just information that is one way. We broke it down into 4 different folders. Information from Dar El Salam, all the recordings that I just mentioned, that'll be stuck over there. That'll be actually uploaded into the information from Dar El Salam. We also have Manasik of Hajj by Dr. Hamid Slimi, a very nice HD video. We also have 11 episodes of Dr. Muhammad Salah, How to Perform Hajj. We have Q&A on the Fiqh of Hajj by Dr. Yasir Qadi, for example. And so all of that is information from us. Then there is general questions. People have questions on how much luggage can I take? What about transit time? Or what about Zamzam? Are you going to give me Zamzam? What about my visa application? All of that is the general questions. Then comes the religious questions. Hey, can I wear earmuffs with my ihram? What happens if I broke my nail accidentally? So that's lumped in religious questions. And then within religious questions, we have a subfolder called questions pertaining to women only, because they have unique issues as such. And then the last one is program-specific questions and networking. And the emphasis is on networking. What you see in that folder is people talking to each other. Hey, I am such and such from Chicago. Anybody else going with me in this program? Can we connect with each other? So this is people getting to know each other and trying to see if we can, join together in the travel. And this is where you start building those relationships, which becomes a lifetime of friendship as you get to know them, because you have together performed Hajj and pleaded your case to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. It's a very unique experience going through that. So this forum is something that's going to be online, inshallah, sometime in March for 2016. But I want to tell you that we require online registration because we only open this forum to Dar es Salaam clients traveling for Hajj. It's very important because we're going to talk about specific things to Dar es Salaam and the services, so only Dar es Salaam clients. Just to give you an idea, this is what a screenshot looked like last year. You can see how the folders look like. You can see the information from Dar es Salaam, general information, religious questions, program-specific questions. And just to give you an idea, we had about 203 different subjects in these folders, 754 posting, and we had 1,064 unique email addresses of people that were asking questions. So when I load up the forum, when the forum is loaded, it already has a set of questions and answers, already defined in topics. And so you look at them and you say, wait a minute, I still have a question on this particular topic. You can go in and post your question, whether it's a religious question or a general question or administrative question, and we respond to that. And this interaction remains. Sometimes I've seen questions posted by somebody saying, hey, do you know where I can get a fragrance-free shampoo? And this is not something that we'll respond. There are other members who have joined who are also going for Hajj. They will respond, for example, hey, you can get it in such and such a place, you can get it in such and such a place. So it becomes a very interactive Q&A, and every time you go in there, it only shows you the new things that are posted, not the things that you've already seen before. And this will remain with you until 1 week before departure, when this is actually shut down. Here is another example of how you prepare for Hajj. So when you look at it collectively, teleconference call, in-person Manasik seminar, in-person administrative seminars, an online forum that allows me to actually ask the questions as it comes to my mind when I'm sitting at home at any time of the day. This is part and parcel of how we prepare you for Hajj, because I believe what you take with you is what you gain out of it. The more you prepare, and especially prepare your heart. We cannot help you prepare your heart. We can give you the information, but you have to absorb it and prepare for what you're about to do. You're about to seek forgiveness for a lifetime of sins and seek guidance from here on to be closer to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So how do you prepare for that? So we will make things available for you, but you actually have to make the effort and the time to prepare. Now comes organization and services. So, okay, I'm prepared, I'm ready now, I'm going to go. Now tell me, now that I have my bags packed, I'm at the airport, what happens? Well, one of the sessions prior to you leaving is going to tell you who your group leader is going to be. See, you are the customer in the middle. And we make sure that a group of 45 to 48 customers is assigned a group leader. A person dedicated full-time from the moment you arrive in Saudi Arabia, dedicated to providing you administrative and logistics guidance. Who is that person? The name of the person, the contact information of the person, that is provided to you. Then you also have the imam. The imam is not one per group. Imam is for more than one imam for an entire program. You will know who your imams are. We also provide for a ladies rep for the program. There are some issues that the ladies feel comfortable talking to only a woman, and so the ladies rep's job is to also the lady can only go into the ladies tent. Men cannot do that. And so we have these people surrounding you that are available to you, who you know who they are, to be with you, whether it's a religious questions or a lecture, imams, whether it's an administrative questions or guidance, group leader, they're around you. And then we have a dedicated 2 people. For each program, a dedicated program manager with all the group leaders and imams for that program. And supporting the program manager is the operation manager, the person who works with the facilities and the resources like transportation and luggage movement and the hotel issues and passports, where they are and are they being tracked, etc. That's the operation manager. And of course, we have senior management. We have the owner of Dar El Salam. We have the person who's in charge of Saudi operations, in charge of Mecca operations and Medina operations and Arafat operations. They are physically there. They're not back in the States. They are there for you. The whole team moves from here that have been working with you to make sure that those services are delivered to you. And when we have common services across each program, I need a bus, another person needs a bus, the third program needs a bus, we have Hajj Operations Center, something that is managed just like a central resource call place. This is where the emergency numbers are managed from. Everybody will know Dar El Salam emergency number. In case of emergency, you can call this number. Hajj Operations Center makes sure that every information is handled properly, all of the follow-ups are done properly. In case of emergency, it's being looked after, and they know how to share common resources across all programs. That is part of what goes in Saudi Arabia. So besides all the stuff that I mentioned prior to that, this is part of the services that we deliver. We are there with you on hand, in the same hotel, in the same bus, in the same tent, in the same train. We're there with you. We don't have anything else that's different. As such, Hajj Mustafa, who is the owner of Dar El Salam, is going to be with you in the camp in Mina, for example. So we want to make sure the services are actually delivered. I mentioned already about the group leader, and the group leader is an experienced person. We choose them. We know who they are, and they're dedicated. They stay with you. They lead you when it comes to going to Mina to Arafat, etc. You're provided his mobile number and names, and they are there to provide you with that. I'll give you an example of imams. They are experienced in providing Hajj services. The ratio of people to group leader is something that Dar El Salam does that no other company does. No other company does that. I can say that with full confidence. The imams are assigned to every Hajj program. They're experienced in providing the services. They are dedicated. They give lectures in Medina and Mecca during the stay. They are the ones that lead the salah. So we're going to have a khutbah of Arafat and Zohar and Asr prayer in Arafat in every tent. Every major German tent, an imam will be there to lead out of the sisters or lead out of the men, inshallah. That's our goal. They're also available to you on Q&A on fiqh issues. You can think of all the questions today, and then later on, when you're actually over there, you have 3 more questions. Who do you go to? You'll have the imams there to be able to answer those questions. And some of the examples of the imams that continue to travel with us: Dr. Muzammil Siddiqui, Dr. Muhammad Salah, Dr. Yasir Qadi, Dr. Salah Sawi, Dr. Abdul Hakim Muhammad, Dr. Hamid Slimi, Dr. Rida Badir, Mufti Hussein Kamani of the Qalam Institute, Sheikh Kifa Mustafa of Quran Academy, Sheikh Abdul Hamid of the Islamic Institute of Toronto, and many more as such. And of course, this list is not finalized for this year. We're just beginning the journey, but we expect to have many of these available to us, inshallah, this year. I mentioned program manager, dedicated to the program, manages that program, responsible for that program and all the group leaders and imam within that program. So you have a path of escalation. If there's an issue with with anybody else that you're dealing with. Operation manager, years of experience, normally a Dar El Salam employee who's done this, like myself or others that are actually there with years of experience to provide full logistical support and support of their program only. And physicians. We actually have had physicians assigned for Hajj. They're available to you for medical advice and needs in Medina and Mecca, and most importantly during the manasik of Hajj. Logistical services that are provided during Hajj, always somebody there at the airport to meet and assist you when you arrive. Whether you arrive as a group or you arrive as an individual. Checking in, check out, and issue resolution, you're not dealing directly with the hotel and the lineup at the front desk. You're dealing with a Dar El Salam person who's going to try and solve your issue where possible. Sometimes the issues are resolved because the hotels are always full, but we do our best to make sure that there's a person, a liaison who establishes a relationship with the hotel to manage those issues. Transportation management. When you move from Medina to Mecca, or vice versa, if your program starts in Medina and you're going to Mecca, you don't take your luggage with you. We actually pick it up the night before and transfer it so that when you move, you're not moving with the luggage. All that instruction is provided to you by the group leader. All the management of the luggage is done by us, for example. It sounds like a simple thing, but we're talking 6,000 plus pieces of luggage by the time you're done managing from point A to point B. Your passport is taken away by the authorities because it's required. That's the rule over there. But we have dedicated people that work with the Mutawis office where the passport is deposited to make sure your passport is tracked and it's with them. As you move from Medina to Mecca, they make sure the passport moves from Medina to Mecca. They can't touch it, they cannot have it in their possession, but we make sure that we know who's taking it, we know where it's going to be deposited. We arrange for your Qurbani. We also provide valuable safekeeping, something that you're going to Mina, you have some important things you don't want to take with you to the camps, we'll take it from you and we'll return it to you after the manasik. And I already mentioned assistance in medical. In case of a medical emergency, Dar es Salaam will stay with you during emergency. We've never had issues where we actually left you or abandoned you. I keep using the example of Hurricane Sandy back in 2012, which hit the US East Coast on the day Hajj ended. And I took a whole bus of people over to Jeddah for their stay and their dinner, and then after that it was taken to the airport to find out no flights are going to either Washington or JFK. We kept them in the hotel. We kept them with full meals. One night, we kept them the second night, and when the flight did resume, the one flight to Washington, we got them there early with a relationship with Saudi Airlines. We were able to get about 280 out of the 300 some seats in that flight to get folks out who were anxious to leave. But we did not leave them. We didn't say it's an act of God. I'm sorry, we're done. We don't do that. If you're sick and you're missing your flight because you're in the hospital, we will stay with you. We will not abandon you during emergencies. Okay, I hope this gives you a fairly good overview of the services, and I think I've not done justice in describing it in detail because I wanted to limit this webinar. And what I'm going to do now is I'm going to walk you through what is it that we're offering in 2017 as our different Hajj packages. So here we go. We offer 7 different Hajj packages. There are those with extended stays, there are those with optimal number of days, and there are those with very short duration. These are meant to be applicable to those who can stay extended time or who have a very short time or somebody in between. Packages that begins in Medina or Mecca because people have preferences similar to that. But they travel on different dates. I cannot change the date of the manasik of Hajj, but I can give you a package that travels right close to it, or those who want to go early and enjoy it and have an extended stay, and departure for major USA gateways. So we try to put a variety of programs that suits everybody's needs. Now here's new news for this year. And the new news for this year is that for the last 4 years, some of you may not know this, but for the last 4 years, because of the construction in the Mataf that restricted the number of pilgrims the Mataf can hold, they had reduced the visas by 20% worldwide, that people could not travel. So our visas were actually reduced by 20%, and that remained for 4 years. This year, they announced that reduction is no longer the case, which means I can take now 20% more people, and believe me, there is demand for such. So what we did is we actually did not increase our cost 20% just because the visas went up by 20%. We were actually able to limit the increase of our costs so that we can maximize the operational efficiency without substantially increasing the cost. That resulted in some savings. And so we're going to pass on that saving to you in this year's Hajj packages. What you will see is compared to 2016, the price of the Hajj packages have dropped between 5 and 10%, right? Because of 20% more visas, and we did not increase the cost as much, and we can still manage, and we can manage without sacrificing any of our renowned quality and services that we provide to our Hajjaj. We're not going to compromise on our quality and services that you all know Dar El Salam for. That is part and parcel of our integrity in what we do and we provide to you. So we're not going to take anything away from that, but we're able to actually maximize our operational efficiency. So the good news is, alhamdulillah. So you can see the prices here. That's fine. The prices are also on the website. It's already published. I'm going to now walk you through each one of those programs and tell you what they are in a summary fashion, inshallah. Okay? So the good news, prices have reduced. Let's start with programs 1A and 1B. So first of all, the difference between A and B in any program. So program 1, for example, in general, it has the same itinerary. You know, it is from the 19th of August through to the 5th of September. So you're probably going to travel on the 18th because your occupancy starts in Medina. So the green is Medina, the blue is Mecca, this light beige color, if you will, is the Manasik, and Aziziyah is of course Aziziyah by itself. So I've given you the legend. So if you look at the top part of the slide, you'll get some idea of what I'm talking to. You have the Gregorian date, you know, which is the English calendar along with the week day, with the Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday. And then you have the Hijri date, which is either Zulqa'dah 26, 27, and then you start the Zulhijjah. And I've shown in this pink color from 8th to 13th, these are the Manasik of Hajj. This is when you go to Mina, and the day of Arafat is August 31st. It's the Thursday, it's the 9th of Zulhijjah. The day of Eid is the 1st of September, which is a Friday, which is the 10th. I'm showing all of that as date as a calendar. Then I'm showing you the program 1A and 1B as an example, and all the programs are shown this way. And that is, I'm showing you the hotel you're going to stay in Medina, because Medina is in green. Then you're going to move to Mecca, and then you're going to go to Aziziyah. Then you're going to do your Manasik back in Aziziyah before you depart. So that is program 1 altogether. The difference between A and B in any program is the difference in the hotels that you're staying in. So you can see 1A is staying in Shaza al-Madina, which you've already seen in the map, followed by Swiss Hotel in Mecca. But 1B is Shaza followed by Hyatt Regency. So that's the distinction between 1A and 1B. And of course, hotels have different rates, therefore there are different prices associated with it. Why would you love this package? A, it begins in Medina. You don't have to be in Ihram when you land. Some people prefer that. And you're actually coming in early. 27th of Zulqa'dah is fairly early. So you get to actually, the 1st of Zulhijjah or the 30th of Zulqa'dah in Mecca is fairly early. You actually get to enjoy the Haram before the crowd starts to build up, people coming in for Hajj. It has a balanced number of days between how many days in Medina and how many days in Mecca and how many days in Aziziyah. And by the way, while you do have the apartment hotel in Aziziyah, you do have access to it during the Manasik. And when Hajj is over, you're not going to rush to finish Tawaf al-Wada to go. You have time for it, as such. Is this the right package for you? Well, it depends. Would you have 18 to 19 days of travel time for this package? Because that's what it takes when you start from the beginning to the end. And remember, this is not starting from departure date, this is starting from the occupancy date, right? And the only thing I can tell you is that between Medina and Mecca, that travel is by bus. What that means, it means like 8 to 9 hours. We want to be upfront with you. It's going to be an air-conditioned bus, but 8 to 9 hours in a bus ride. And of course, in Aziziyah, you have to be in a quad occupancy. If that's okay with you, the price is starting at $9,200. Then this package is something that you can take. It is Deluxe Program 1A or 1B. Now, moving on to Deluxe Programs 1C and 1D. Again, the same thing. When you look at the calendar on top, by the way, this is the longest program we've got, right? So you look at the calendar. This one starts in Mecca on the 25th of Zulqa'dah. You probably are going to travel on the 16th, and you have. It is the best price. Starts at $8,900. That's why you would love this. And you are going to begin when you're going to arrive in Mecca. You can practically, it'll be very easy for you to do Umrah because the crowd won't be as much over there. Crowd builds up. as you get towards the 8th of Zulhijjah. That's when the crowd starts to build up. This has the longest stay in Mecca, in front of the Haram, and also in Aziziyah than anywhere else. I mean, if you look at the number of days you're in Swiss Hotel or Hyatt Regency. And then you actually go to Shaza, you go to Medina, and the way you go to Medina is you actually take a domestic flight from Jeddah to Medina. But on the way back, you actually come back by bus. And since you already left the Haram, you can actually perform a second Umrah if you wish to do so. It's not required, but if you wish to do so, you can perform a second Umrah coming back from Medina. You will stay in Aziziyah from the evening or the early morning of the 4th of Zulhijjah till the manasik begins on the 8th of Zulhijjah, which is about 26th of August till the 30th. And then you'll have access to that. And again, once your Hajj is finished, you go back to Aziziyah and you stay there. The duration of stay in Aziziyah directly corresponds to your flight departure time. And then you'll make Tawaf al-Wada and return. Is this the right package for you? Well, again, as I said, it's the longest program we've got, 20 to 21 days. And you would want to start your journey in Mecca. It means you're going to be in the state of Ihram when you land in Jeddah Airport. And you're able to travel, by bus, which could take 8 hours plus. And you can stay in Aziziyah in quiet occupancy. So this is again another deluxe program for Aziziyah. I have programs without Aziziyah. Any program that is super deluxe and above does not have any Aziziyah stay. And I'm just starting with the deluxe program, so stay tuned as such. We want to make, the reason for Aziziyah, people tend to ask that question, so I'm going to preempt the question and answer it, is because it makes it more economical. If I stayed in the hotel in front of the Haram, then it would become prohibitively expensive. So this is a deluxe program that makes it economical, but I have to then give you some time in front of the Haram, and then after that I have to move you to Aziziyah with access to the Haram based on the congestion on the road and transportation. But generally speaking, it's 2 times to go and do your salah and then come back. But Aziziyah is fully staffed with your imams and your group leaders, and the prayers are held there as well. So I don't think you're going to miss anything as such. So that's the reason for it. And another deluxe program we have is program 2A and 2B. Now this one has the shortest stay in Aziziyah, but if you look carefully, it actually is a 14 to 17 day program. It arrives in Medina on the 4th of Zulhijjah, and you're going to stay in Shaza for 2 nights and 3 days, and then you're going to move to Aziziyah. You're not going to move to your hotel yet in front of the Haram. That comes at the end. And you're going to go there, you're going to check in, and you're going to go for Umrah with your group leader and your group to the Haram, and come back, spend 1 night, pack up, and you're now into the manasik of Hajj. So you're coming in about 4 days before the manasik of Hajj, spending 3 days in Medina, 1 day and 1 night in Aziziyah, and you're in the manasik of Hajj. So short stay in the front, a short stay in Aziziyah, then the manasik of Hajj. You go back to Aziziyah on the 13th of Zulhijjah when the manasik ends. And then, of course, on the 14th of Zulhijjah, you go from Aziziyah to now your hotel. Hajj is over. Now you can stay anywhere from 3 days up to the full 6 days. What you see as an optional stay, some people say, well, I don't want to stay that long. But if you wish to stay for the entire 6 days, you can. Hajj is over. Now you are in front of the Haram. You can customize it and stay for the full duration or come home early. And while you are in the manasik, you still have access to your building in Aziziyah. So again, the same thing. Is this package right for you? It is 14 to 17 days. Note the movements. You have there 3 days, then you move by bus to Aziziyah, then you do your Umrah on the 7th of Zulhijjah. It will be crowded. 7th of Zulhijjah is the last day before the Hajj begins, so the Haram will be crowded. And then you again sleep 1 night, and then you're in Mina, then you're to an Arafat, then you're in Muzdalifah and back in Mina. And then so finally towards the end, when your Hajj is over, you get to relax in Aziziyah, and you certainly get to relax for 6 full days in front of the Haram. So I want to give you the accommodation for deluxe type programs 1 and 2. Here's an example, just an example. You can see this on the left side is a picture of what was called a folded sofa and sleeper. So it's called a foam sleeper chair. You can Google that term. So when it is folded, it looks like this. This is about 8 inches thick, so when you fold it up, it's about 16 inches off the ground. These are foam mattresses, right? And when you unfold it, that's the picture on the right side. And that's, when you sleep. Those partitions allows for privacy, so you're not really staring at each other's face when you're the person next to you. And this is a picture taken inside the camp as we're being set up. You can see the carpet already in the ground. So that's the type of a sleeping accommodation you have, except that you also have pillow, you also have a bed sheet, you also have a blanket, to go with it, and a cover to go with it, right? But when you put them all together, this is an example, and I want to show you this picture, especially when you look at the very far end, that unit that you see, I don't know whether you can see my cursor or not, that unit that you see at the very far end, that is an air conditioning unit. And you can see the fans to further supplement it. You can see on the left side this orange color metal thing, that's the luggage rack. You can see on the right side the same luggage rack. You can see the foam sleeper beds already set up on a carpeted floor. And you can see these pink color half walls that gives you privacy when people are sleeping. So here's an example. So this could be tents with the walls removed, because now we have 60 men here. And so this part here will take maybe 15, 20. Next section will take 15, 20. For example, so what happens if the imam is leading the prayers? He's using the microphone on the front. Let's say it's on the top right side. And everybody can fold up their chairs and have their salah, listen to his lecture, etc. And they're staying in a coolness of their tent. And then they can go outside in the buffet, pick up the food, and either eat it outside with some sitting areas that I mentioned, or bring it in here and eat, and then dispose of their plates and stuff outside the garbage can. So that's an example that I wanted to show you of a tent when it is set up. Here's another example of a similar tent. You can see the luggage rack, you can see the foam sleeper chair, you can see the carpet. This is part of the deluxe accommodation. And I showed you the picture of the open buffet earlier. This one I want to show you with people actually lining up. This is the same buffet taken from a different angle. This was a women's buffet for program number 2 last year. And this is people, lining up. The ladies are lining up. And we manage that, by the way. We don't want all 200 to come out. We'll tell you, group number 4, will you please come out and have your dinner or have your lunch? And then when they go back and the line is reduced, there are monitors, there are group leaders to make sure that the line moves, make sure that the food is there, and then we'll help serve you so that you can maximize your time. The example of the bathroom in a deluxe camp in Mina camp. Example of a German style tent in a deluxe program in Arafat that was last year. You can see the fan, you can see the industrial AC unit with the big air right there on the top left side of the picture. Now we're going to go into the super deluxe programs. So super deluxe programs are fairly balanced programs. So here's a program 3A and 3B. Again, the differences in the hotels, A and B. Here you are going to actually have no stay in Azizia. So super deluxe programs are very simple. They are either stay in the hotels in Medina and stay in hotels in Mecca, and in some cases they have a stay for 1 night or so in Jeddah at the end of Hajj to coincide with their departure from Jeddah, if you will. So here's a super deluxe program. So A, why we love this package? You have no stay in Azizia, so you don't have this third movement, if you will. You're going to arrive on the 4th of Zulhijjah in Mecca. You're going to be in Ihram, and you're going to go into a Swiss hotel in front of the Haram. You have the opportunity to perform Umrah, and then relax and rest and prepare for Hajj. And then right from the hotel in Mecca, you'll go to the manasik of Hajj in your camps. At the end of the manasik of Hajj, you are going to actually come out, and we will take you by air, inshallah on the 13th of Zulhijjah, we'll take you by air to Medina. And so you're going to arrive in Medina before the crowd from Mecca is arriving in Medina. So you get to enjoy Medina when it is relatively less crowded. And this is the hotels in Mecca and Medina. And the only thing I would say when you ask the question, is this package right for you? Yeah, I mean, if you want to start your journey in Mecca, I mean, the number of days is fairly small. I think this one is about 13 or 14 days. And so that's the Super Deluxe program. Mecca first, no Azizia, optimal stay between Mecca and Manasik and Medina, going to Medina by air before the crowd starts, and that will be the package you'd want to take. Time is also taken into a factor. Super Deluxe program 4A and 4B, our most popular program in 2016. Again, the same thing, no stay in Azizia, but this one begins in Medina. So you're not going to be in the state of Ihram when you arrive. And you have 3 nights and 4 days in Medina. You get to pray Jummah, and on Saturday, we're going to transfer you, not by bus this time, like in Deluxe program. You're going to actually go by chartered flight from Medina to Mecca without your luggage, because we manage the luggage separately. We've taken that away from you. So you're traveling light. Nothing to check in as far as luggage is concerned, simply your hand carry. And you're in Ihram, you arrive on the 4th of Zulhijjah to Mecca, And from Jeddah airport, you come straight to Mecca, and you check into your hotel, and then you actually go perform your Umrah, and you get to relax and rest and prepare for Hajj until you go for the manasik of Hajj. And when you are finished with the manasik of Hajj on the 13th of Dhul Hijjah, we bring you out of the camp in Mina into Shuhada Hotel. You leave your Mina belongings there. You go and perform the farewell tawaf al-wada, come back to Shuhada Hotel, and from there you head out to Jeddah to spend the night or 2 nights or less than a night, depends on when your return flight is. And so what we call this as a fact that you have no aziziyah, you have ample balanced time. You have 3 nights and 4 days in Medina, you have 4 nights and 5 days in Mecca, you have the manasik in a fairly good environment and setting, and then you have the recuperating time in Jeddah, or shopping time in Jeddah as some call it. So this gives you the optimal Hajj experience. Is this package right for you? From our perspective, this package is perfect. Exactly almost about 2 weeks. You leave on Thursday the 22nd, you return on Thursday the 5th of September. This is a super deluxe accommodation. So I'm showing you a picture of super deluxe accommodation in Mina. You can see, in this one you can actually see what's sitting on top of these mattresses. What they normally do is, and if you were to lift this thing up, inside, by the way, is the pillow, and inside is the blanket. So what's sitting on top of it sometimes are towels or bed sheets. They're all hygienic. They're all in plastic wrap, and these are all new fabrics. What you're seeing here in this picture is a tile floor with a carpet. You also carefully look at the green wall, and you can see a little orange card. You can see this card sort of stapled to the wall, and this is basically what we do. Is we actually send group leaders in before you arrive and make sure that your space is there for you. So we actually will staple people that know each other to be next to each other, right, for example. And so we'll staple the space for you, and when you walk in there. The luggage racks are in black, you can see that, and this is the super deluxe accommodation in Mina. This is an example of a open buffet in Mina. By looking at the desert, the dessert, I mean, it's just you gain weight by looking at it. And here's an example of the German style tent with the air conditioning and fans in Arafat, which is only for a few hours. There's another view of that. Okay, so that's super deluxe for you. Let's talk about the executive programs, which is 5, 6, and 7. So executive program number 5, in short, is exactly the same as program number 4, except they have the best hotels and superior accommodations during the entire Hajj period. That it includes Mina, and that it includes mostly Mina, and also includes Arafat. So there's no stay in Aziziyah. Begins in Medina. You start with the Hilton Hotel, and then you fly into Jeddah, and then drive from there to Dar El Tawheed. Dar El Tawheed Intercontinental. They're all 5-star hotel, but this hotel is the closest hotel there is to the Haram. Period. I mean, you come out into the courtyard of the Haram. There's no walk to get to the courtyard of the Haram. The front sliding door of the hotel opens into the courtyard of the Haram. And so you stay in this beautiful hotel in front of the Haram, and then you go through the manasik of Hajj with superior accommodation. There's no compromise in quality and comfort here. And then at the end of the Hajj, you actually stay in Jeddah for 1 night in a 5-star hotel, and then you return. So it's optimal Hajj experience with superior accommodations, and you get to rest. And was this package right for you? Well, you just have enough time for Hajj, but we don't want to compromise on quality services and comfort. And you want to stay in Mina during manasik with the best possible accommodation. So let me share with you the accommodation that they have. They actually have a cot. This is what it's like. You can see the front 3 are actually folded, and the back 2 are actually opened up. So they have, you can see the blankets are on there. You can see the towel sitting there on top, along with the sheet. And so this is an accommodation for program 5. They have rooms inside for them, and you can see this is when it is actually laid out for sleeping at nighttime with cots. And I'm going to give you an example of the accommodation. So when you're not in your room and resting and sleeping, you come into this comfortable executive lounge. And your prayer services, your lectures are all in the executive lounge. And your meal services is in the executive lounge. And then you have your room with the bed. So you actually, mashallah, you actually have the best accommodation there is during Hajj. Alhamdulillah. I mean, this is the best we can, that is provided. That's the executive program 5. For program number 6, a very short program. We would like you to call our office for information as far as the itinerary of the program is concerned, as such. But it begins in Medina when it is relatively less crowded. You do stay in front of the hotel in the Haram during the manasik of Hajj. We will take you by air between Medina to Mecca, and you actually retain your hotel during the manasik. So when you are actually in the hotel, your room stays. When you go to Arafat, your room in the hotel stays. When you come back from Arafat, you are actually going to throw the pebbles in Jamratul Aqaba, the 7 pebbles, and then you can come back to your hotel. You can actually shower, change, rest in your hotel, and in the afternoon we'll take you to Mina because you're required to spend at least half a night in Mina. So we'll take you from your hotel in Mecca to Mina. And in Mina, you're going to stay in the executive lounge where your prayers are held, your lectures are held, the imams are available, your open buffet meals are served over there. And about 1 o'clock in the morning or so, when you've spent at least half the night in Mina, you come back to your hotel. And when you're back in the hotel, you have the proximity to the Haram. You can actually pray Fajr in Haram. You can make optional tawaf while the rest of the crowd is still sitting in Mina, as an example. So you have that advantage because you retain your hotel room. And when your Hajj is over on the 12th of Dhul Hijjah, you're still in your hotel and you will depart directly from the hotel to the airport for your return flight. So this program is a short program. It's about 14 days or so. And you want to visit Medina first, but you also want to visit Medina and Mecca, but you want to do so in the shortest possible time. Arriving on the 4th of Dhul Hijjah in Medina is the last day anyone can arrive for Hajj. That's the last day for arrival in Medina for Hajj, period. So you're taking advantage of starting in Medina on the last day, spending some time there, coming to Mecca, and retaining your hotel during the manasik, having the best accommodation during the manasik in terms of executive lounge. You're sleeping still in the hotel at nighttime, and we shuttle you, we'll take you back and forth 2 days, and then after that you leave directly from your hotel to the airport. If you wish to stay in the executive lounge, you can. It's up to you. I mean, the last night people tend to, the night of the 11th of Dhul Hijjah, Hajj is over on the 12th, they will go to the executive lounge. They will actually stay and not return at 1 o'clock. They'll stay till the morning and throw their last Rami Jamarat, then return on the 12th of Dhul Hijjah, completing their Hajj. So you want to visit Medina and Mecca in the shortest possible time during Hajj, but you don't want to compromise on the quality and services. We have 6A, B, and C, but please, for the itinerary information, I would like you to call the office on this one. Program 7 is something new this year. I want to point out to you that this is the program that is the shortest in duration. It is a hyphenated program. This shortest in duration is because it is Mecca only, and optionally you can go to Medina if you wanted to do so. So here's the program that is a special flight, one and only special flight, only by Saudi Airlines, Korea, now arriving on the 6th of Dhul Hijjah. Remember, I mentioned 4th of Dhul Hijjah is the last normal commercial flight to arrive for Hajj. The exception is to the Saudi Airlines to arrive on the 6th of Dhul Hijjah. That's the flight you get on. You're going to arrive 2 days before the manasik begins. You're going to go perform your Umrah. You're going to stay in the hotel in front of the Haram. You're going to retain that hotel while you're doing the manasik. So your stay in Mina and Arafat will be in the executive lounge. And again, as I mentioned, after Arafat, you'll go back to your hotel, shower, change, come out of Ihram, come back to Mina, spend half a night, go back to your hotel. And at the end of Hajj on the 13th of Dhul Hijjah, you can say, I want to come back home. And if you do so, that's the shortest duration, that's 9 days. If you say, no, I still want to visit Medina, we'll take you to Medina on the 13th of Dhul Hijjah by air. You're going to arrive early enough to enjoy the Medina before the crowd builds up. And you'll stay in Medina Hilton. That's why we call that an optional stay. So this is a new program. This is the shortest program if you want to do Hajj only and not visit Medina, but you have the option to visit Medina. So is this package right for you? You have minimal time for Hajj, and you do not want to compromise the quality and services of Dar El Salam that you're so accustomed to, and that's what we're renowned for, and you want to have the option to return home immediately after Hajj. And of course, that's an option given to you, or you can go to Medina. Here's an example of the executive lounge. You've seen it. That's where you'll actually stay when you come into Mina for half the night. And this is the catering provided within the executive lounge for those who are in program 5, 6, and 7. So this is the catering services. I'm just giving you some pictures of that so you can see that as such. And here's an example of Sheikh Riyad Urdadi in 2016. This is late in the afternoon when people stand and make group supplications with the Sheikh leading in supplications. And he does it in Arabic, he does it in English. This is within Arafat. Those fading moments when you want to make sure that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has heard you. You want to pour your heart out. And so you need somebody like Sheikh Urdazi or Sheikh Muhammad Salah or other sheikhs that are with us to actually lead you in supplications. And that's part of what you're seeing in the picture. And this is the private bathroom in Mina for the executives that we have. And this is the private bathroom that you've already seen in the Arafat camp. And so that's the summary of all the program offering that we have. This is already on our website. In the interest of time, I'm going to move on to the airlines that we use. People ask the question, what airlines do you use? We use major airlines: Saudi Airlines, Turkish Airlines, Etihad, Qatar, and Emirates. We use, even though the program that you see on the website says it's based on departure from New York, you have to base the pricing based on a single hub, for example. And then, of course, if the airlines provides me different hubs to fly from, and we use all these hubs that you see in front of you: Washington, Los Angeles, Seattle, Chicago. If the departure from specific gateway is based on available airlines for that specific Hajj program. For example, if I want to go in program number 2 or 2B or 2A, and it turns out that the airline that I'm using does not use Atlanta as a gateway, which means you will not get program 2A or 2B out of Atlanta, but you will get it out of some of the other hubs that they're using it. But we use all of these gateways with the airlines as they're provided and as they apply for a specific program. What is included in the Hajj package? Well, airfare from JFK and return. As I said, we also have other gateways. All accommodations and meals that was specified: the hotels, the meals in the hotels, the meals in Mina and Arafat, and so forth. Transportation, whether it's al-Mashayar train, whether it's by air locally between Jeddah and Medina, or by bus, it's all provided. All Hajj services in terms of preparing you for Hajj, and all the and the group leaders and the imams, they're all specified to you. They're all included as part of the package. What's not included is that normally the Ministry of Hajj requires that each person provide a Hajj draft, which is valued at $300. They're not included in any of the package. The sacrifice is not included because there are people who actually perform Hajj, for example, that does not require a sacrifice. So sacrifice is not optional, but most people will end up doing Hajj Qiran or Hajj Tamattu and Qiran, but sacrifice is not included in the price. And Hajj visa fee is a TBD, is to be determined. As you know that earlier this year they announced visa fee for Umrah and Hajj. I know that they have taken away the Umrah fee for those who are going within the first time in the Hijri calendar. They've taken away from the Hajj fee, but we have not heard any further as to whether it will apply or not apply. But it may be required from those performing Hajj within the past 5 years, and therefore the details are yet to be confirmed. And if they say it's going to be required, and if you have performed Hajj in the last 5 years, and if they say it's required, then it may apply to you if you performed Hajj in the last 5 years. If you have never performed Hajj before, then there is no Hajj visa fee for you as such. So we have to figure out, we have to wait till we hear further from them as to Hajj visa fees will apply or not apply. And of course, domestic flight to international gateways. So if you're living in Columbus, Ohio, and your flight is from JFK, then that flight from Columbus, Ohio to JFK, that's a domestic flight. That is not included in the package. The package has departure from the gateway as specified in the packages themselves, mainly JFK. What are the complementary items that we provide in the Hajj package? You've seen some pictures of backpack. They're very useful during the manasik of Hajj. So we'll provide you that over in Saudi Arabia. Ihram for men. So any program that is a Mecca first program, that means that you arrive in Jeddah and you have to be in the state of Ihram, you will receive the Ihram here in the United States. But any program that starts in Medina, the Ihram will be provided in Medina. We also provide prayer rugs, are useful during travel and during manasik as well, that you will receive in Medina. Normally a cloth shoe bag with a drawstring, which is very comfortable to carry. I don't take my slipper and put it somewhere before I go into the haram. I actually carry it in that shoe bag with me inside the haram, and I keep it in front of me. Hajj and Dua books, they are helpful reminders. And of course, when you return, you'll be able to bring, inshallah, a 5-liter packed bottle of Zamzam per person to return back to your family and loved ones. So these are the books, these are the things that are complimentary that we provide. And if you wanted to register for Hajj, for information, or visit our website or register for Hajj, you can view the packages on the website. It's already on. And what you need to do, even if you have pre-registered, you still need to do this. Go and look at the packages that you have, and then the package that you like, you actually go in there and say book, Bismillah, book this program, and again fill out the registration form. And once you confirm the registration, it'll come back and tell you the registration has been. It'll give you a number after you submit that. And then you follow up the registration with the deposit and a copy of your passport. We need that copy of your passport. You can say my passport is expired, that's fine, but still send us a copy of the passport. It's very important that we know things like your name as spelled in the passport, your date of birth, so a copy of your passport is required. So follow up with the deposit and a copy of the passport. If you need assistance in going through the packages or in making the booking online, we'll be more than happy to help you. We also have a new chat feature. If you wanted to chat, inshallah somebody will pick up the chat and answer your questions as you're chatting away. But one thing you should know, just because you have registered, it does not confirm the space in any Hajj package. Registration has to be followed by a deposit. There are people who registered and sort of disappear. We want people who are serious to actually register and then pay the deposit, and that guarantees that you have space confirmed in the program. So we need to have both, combination of registration and the initial deposit, inshallah. So I hope that what I presented on behalf of Dar El Salam, first of all, it's a privilege and an opportunity for me to be able to do that. And hopefully you'll see me one day in one of the seminars. And I'm one of the persons that answers the chat, and there's a whole team that actually answers it. That hopefully this will help you, give you a view of Dar es Salaam's services and facilities. And you can see that it's much more than what normally people ask. People sometimes don't even know what to ask. It's not the hotels and the accommodations or the proximity. It's the whole thing. And especially when you are in the manasik of Hajj, when you don't have the hotel, when you're in Ihram in 110 degrees temperature, and this is where you need to actually concentrate, spiritually concentrate. What is it that will allow you to concentrate there? What kind of environment should it be? Should it be a dirty environment? Should it be a public bathroom? Should it be a desert cooler where you're still perspiring? Should it be a 15-minute walk from the North American camp? So you need to consider the whole thing. And people, in my 25 years of doing this thing, people don't even know to ask those questions. And I point that out to them. And I also point out, if you have physical disabilities and so forth, what package would be appropriate for you. So I'm hoping that this explanation of our services, this explanation of our facilities and how we prepare you and how we guide you, how we are with you throughout the trip, has been helpful in explaining what we do, and also the explanation of the packages that we have provided to you explains to you what we are offering, and this should be sufficient for you to register. And again, first come, first registered, first deposit paid basis. And I'm pretty sure that some of our popular packages will be sold out, and many people then come in afterwards and beg and plead, and we cannot help them because we have finite resources, finite hotels, and finite space to work with. So Jazakumullahu khair. Thank you very much for listening. I'm going to now see if there's any questions being sent. For questions, we had mentioned that you should send your questions to ask@darussalam.com. I'm just going back quickly to my presentation. So if you have any questions, I will try and let me see if there's any questions here. The question on, if I don't use JFK, I want to use Atlanta, or I want to use Dallas and so forth, will there be extra charges? Of course. When we do the pricing for the airline, we price it based on their price out of JFK. Almost everyone goes to JFK. And for those who actually also provide services out of the different gateways, their pricing is different. And usually it's more. There's more charges between JFK versus somebody flying from Los Angeles, or somebody flying or some airline flying out of Houston. So will there be any extra charges from other gateways? Yeah, likely. We've seen sometimes. Likely it'll be extra charges from other gateways. So how would it work? If you registered and you confirm your space, we are working with the airlines. So expect by middle of April, expect that we will actually send you a choice. Here, for your program, here are your airline options. So pick one or two. Tell me your first preference, tell me your second preference. Then we take those preferences and then we work with the airline, and you will receive the confirmation somewhere around June. Once you receive the confirmation, only then should you book your domestic flight, if you have to take a domestic flight. But there will be extra charges from other gateways. Question on and clarifying the difference between Swiss hotel and Hyatt hotel location-wise. You can tell you what, I'm going to show it to you. That is much better. As a matter of fact, what you can also do. Did I go far? Yeah. Just hold on a second, folks. I'm flipping through these. Okay. So here is Swiss hotel. When you see the slide, you'll get to see it. Here's Swiss hotel on the right side, and there's Hyatt Regency. If you look at the white tiled area, which is really the courtyard of the Haram, you can see coming out of Hyatt and crossing Ibrahim al-Khalil Street, which most likely will be closed almost all the time. During Hajj period, they shut down the road. During prayers, they shut down the road. I have stayed in Hilton Suite, which is the building right next to it, and I've had no issues with it. You can cross the street and you're in the courtyard of the Haram, and you can walk through King Fahd Gate. If you're in Swiss Hotel, you have two choices. You can go from the right side of Swiss Hotel onto Ajiyat Street and walk down the street parallel the street all the way into King Abdulaziz Gate, or you can walk inside into the main mall and walk through the mall and come out into this narrow ramp that you see here in front of King Abdulaziz Gate into the courtyard. So you can from the slides you can see that they are very close. If I were to guess this thing, I would say Hyatt is closer to the Haram than Swiss would be to the Haram from a distance wise. A question that I have is for program 6, how long does it take from Mecca to Mina and Mina back to Mecca? This is subject to a few things. Number one, if we leave Mecca at 3 o'clock, it all depends on the traffic going back. And if the roads close, it will take you to that part that we have in Aziziyah, which, as I mentioned, is about 1 or 1.25 mile outside of Mina. And then you have to walk into the tunnel, and the golf carts will bring you in. My guess would be one way would be about an hour to hour and a half. It all depends on the traffic as such to get to Mina, and then to return will be much faster. So at night time, there's nobody coming or nobody going to the Haram. Normally people are in Mina. So if you're leaving the camp at 1 o'clock in the morning and you want to go back to your hotel, it should be relatively less time, maybe less than an hour, just shy of an hour to get back to the hotel, inshallah. My wife would like to hear about gluten-free diet. This is a question that comes up. I have a gluten-free diet. How do I manage that? They don't label the food. Even in the restaurants, when you have open buffet, they will not label it. So what we normally tell folks that have this gluten-free requirement is that always carry something with them in emergency, but we will help you meet with the chef, the restaurant manager and the chef, and say, look, I have this requirement. Tell me what you have put in this food, or which one can I eat which is gluten-free. And if we do that up front in the hotels, they'll manage and be able to give you something that is gluten-free. The same thing when you come to Mina, because they do the cooking in Mina, and we'll ask them to work with the chef. that, give me something that is gluten-free. So they can say, yeah, sure, we'll give you something. But what has happened over the years is that even though they say that, it is especially in Mina, I would say it's not that closely managed so that says I can guarantee it'll be gluten-free. He's going to put all the ingredients associated with that, but how they actually put it all together, you may get gluten-free, or you may have some contamination. But I've seen that happen, that people who had the gluten-free requirement successfully get their food and the meal in the restaurants in Mecca and Medina. And in Mina you have to watch it, but you do get some choices that would help you, inshallah. Any other questions for me? I'm looking at the or the questions being sent. Okay, the question being asked is there a difference between program 4A and 4B? As I said, all the differences that you see in any program that has this A and B, whether it's 4A or 4B or 6A, B or C, the difference between A and B are the hotels. The hotels in Medina or the hotels in Mecca, either one or both. And that's how we distinguish from one to the other. So the itinerary is exactly the same. You might be in the same flight together. People who are going into 4A and 4B might be in the same flight going to Medina. Once you land in Medina, 4A goes to one hotel, 4B goes to another hotel. Or if the hotel is the same in Medina, when you depart Medina to Mecca, for example, 4A might go into one hotel and 4B might be going into another hotel. So the difference between A and B, generally speaking, is just the hotel as such. And if you want to know what those hotels are, just bear with me for a second. I'll give you that now. 4A and 4B, for example, there's also a 4C. 4A and 4B is in Movenpick in Medina, and the difference in the hotel actually is in Mecca. 4A is in Swiss Hotel, and 4B is the Clock Tower Fairmont Hotel itself. So that's the difference. For program number 7, I'm interested in this package. Where do I put on the ihram with this plane? The good thing is that program 7 is only valid with Saudi Airlines. And Saudi Airlines, if you have flown before on Saudi Airlines, you will know that in the back of the aircraft they have a musalla, they have a place for prayers. So what tends to happen is something very simple, is that about 2 hours before landing they will start the meal service again. So what you tend to do is you take your ihram with you. You take your ihram, you take your slipper, something to tie the ihram with you in your hand carry. So I would say 3 hours before landing, because the miqat is reached barely an hour before landing, maybe sometimes even less than an hour. That's when the pilot will announce. First they will announce the miqat is approaching in 30 minutes, then they will tell you that the miqat is approached. So miqat approaches about 30 minutes or 40 minutes before landing. But the issue is that of changing the ihram. So what you normally do is, before, to avoid the crowd, you can go to that back area where they pray, because there are curtains. You can draw the curtains and carefully put on your ihram garment and remove your normal clothing and put on your ihram garment. Now, first go to the bathroom, do all your wudu, and you're all prepped, so hopefully you don't have to go to the bathroom again. And you change your ihram in that prayer area and come back to your seat. And when they announce it, and when they announce the miqat is approaching in 30 minutes, you don't really have to wait for 30 minutes. If you want, you can. But anywhere 15-20 minutes later, maybe you can just sit in your seat and say, labbaik Allahumma umratan, or labbaik umratan. That means you're making the niyyah for umrah. For example, if you're doing Hajj on behalf of somebody else, you will say labbaik umratan an, and the name of that person. And then you start saying the talbiyah after that, and you're in the state of ihram now. So first was the physical garment of ihram in the back area where you pray, and then when you sit down, when the time comes for you to assume ihram, when the miqat is approaching, you can actually make the intention. Now you are in the state of ihram, and all the restrictions and prohibitions apply. You will be in that state until you arrive in your hotel, check in, and do your umrah, and when you get your hair cut, that's when you come out of the state of ihram. So I hope that I answered that, because program 7 is very unique in that you're arriving on the 6th of Dhul-Hijjah, and only one airline is allowed to serve that, and that is Saudi Airlines. And you can change in Saudi Airlines because they have a dedicated area in the back for salah. And if you go there 3 hours before it lands, the lights will be off in the cabin, the hallways should be free because the meal service has not started, and you can easily change without too much of a crowd, inshallah. And in program 7, you actually do keep the hotel throughout the package stay. Absolutely you do. Program 6, you also retain the hotel room throughout the manasik. These are the only 2 programs where the hotel room in Mecca is retained throughout the manasik. General questions: can I choose my own imam? Actually, I can't. No, you cannot choose your own imam. We actually invite all these imams, and then we wait, because sometimes they're engaged with one thing or the other, and we wait to see what their availability is, and then we assign and work with them as to which program they want to choose, and we also which program we would like to have them in, and then that's how the imams are generally assigned. I cannot imagine if I ask everybody to choose their own imams as to how that would work as such. So, and we won't know who the imams are until closer to Ramadan, inshallah. What about cell phone network? Do we need to buy a local SIM? And now, in 2006, the Saudi government came up with a specific requirement, which is good for the security and safety, and that is that people who are given a SIM card must provide an ID, and the SIM card is associated with that ID. So if you're a resident of Saudi Arabia, it's your iqama. If you're a visitor on Hajj and Umrah, it's your passport. But the lineup for the passport in the office is just too long. So we do not promise SIM card anymore. But if you have a plan, in North America with T-Mobile or someone that has a global coverage, that phone would work over there. That wouldn't be an issue for you. As long as it's a multifunction smartphone, you can actually work with my smartphone. You can have smart app, WhatsApp in it, for example. You can have any other messaging and your phone number. But if you really want to say, look, I want to buy a local SIM card over there, you can. We cannot supply you with SIM card. We cannot promise to supply you with SIM card because of these requirements. Because not only that you have to present your passport, they also take your biometrics. They also take your fingerprints. So you physically have to be there. In prior years, we actually took the SIM cards and shipped it here and gave it to you before you left your home for Hajj. But unfortunately, we're not able to do that because of the requirements. But you can purchase your SIM card over there, in which case you take an unlocked, very important to understand that, it must be an unlocked GSM phone. And you take the local SIM card over there and use that on your phone. And because it's a smartphone, you can still use messaging using WhatsApp and GroupMe and others, for example, and you'll have a local phone call, inshallah. Can I please elaborate on the benefits of having accommodation and hotel in Jeddah as in package 4 and 5? Why do we have accommodation and hotel in Jeddah in package 4 and 5? Last year, I'll give you an example. The General Authority on Civil Aviation in Saudi Arabia came up with a requirement that basically said that after Hajj you cannot depart until almost the evening of the 14th or the early morning of the 15th of Zulhijjah. Now Hajj is over on the 13th. I still have one night in a day, so I have to put you up somewhere. So normally what we do is that we try to get the airlines, for those who have done Hajj, to leave early, but we have to provide you an accommodation prior to that. And it's not possible to come in and say, I need one more night in the hotel in Mecca. So for those programs like 4 and 5, what we tend to do is take you out of Mina, you do your Umrah, you do your Tawaf al-Wada, and we put you in a hotel in Jeddah, and your departure from that hotel in Jeddah to the airport coincides with your departure time. So we have no rules yet from GACA as to whether they will still restrict as to when we can depart. But if you can depart on the 14th of Zulhijjah, for example, on Saudi Airlines at 5:30 in the morning, you are going to be in Jeddah, at least a place that you can come out of Mina and shower and change and reunite the luggage and repack and get to the airport. So that's another reason why we have a place like Jeddah Airport. So I will come out from from Hajj on the 13th of Zulhijjah. I did not have a hotel all this time. I had given up my hotel when I came for the manasik of Hajj. My luggage was taken away. I have to be in a place where I can come out of these clothes from Mina, shower and change and repack, and then go. So that's another reason why we use the hotel in Jeddah for rest and synchronize your departure and plan for your departure. Again, I'm getting questions like, can a woman take a shower in ihram and so forth? The answer is yes, you can. You have to be careful. Anybody can take a shower in ihram and put another one back on. Don't use any scented soap or products. But all of these are actually covered in much detail in the forum, in the administrative sessions. So you'll have plenty of opportunity for those questions and religious questions later on, inshallah. I want to concentrate more on the services and the packages, if I may. Why is 1C and 1D less expensive? A good question. People have asked, wait a minute, this is a 21-day program and it's less expensive than something that's an 11-day program. It has to do with the occupancy dates. I mean, the hotels are over there during Hajj, and Hajj is a very unique thing. And no one else has that. It's only Saudi Arabia, and so it's very unique to Saudi Arabia. The hotels over there operate very differently. They sell the rooms in blocks. I cannot say, can I have one night? Either I buy, 25th of Zulqa'dah to 1st of Zulhijjah, or 30th of Zulqa'dah, or I buy 1 to 4, or I buy 4 to 8, or for those who retain the hotel room during the manasik, I buy from 8 to 14, which is why program 2, when they're supposed to get their hotel after Hajj, they still have to go back to Aziziyah to gather the things for one night and then come back, because hotel in Mecca starts from 14th from them, right? All of these have different rates. The closer you get to the manasik of Hajj, the real high rates you're going to pay for those 4 nights. The program 4 and 5, for example, 4 to 8 is very high. If I am going to occupy the same hotel on 25th of Zulqa'dah to the 30th of Zulqa'dah, the rates are very low. So that plays a part in determining the price of the hotel. Nothing to do with the number of days you're spending there. So I hope that explains why 1C and D being a longer program, but their occupancy is in the less expensive time frame in Mecca and Medina than it is for the other programs. I don't have any further questions, and I'm respectful of your time. I know we said 1 hour. I was expecting that the Q&A would be another half an hour, but I notice it's about 2 o'clock Eastern time, so it's about 2 hours. Again, we're available to you to help you. Again, I hope and pray that this explained our services and our facilities, the whole package, if you will, and what our offering is. We'd welcome you to explore our website. We'd welcome you to ask questions. But remember that registration is only confirmed, space is only confirmed if you have a registration followed by an initial deposit and a copy of your passport. So thank you very much for attending. I sincerely hope this was useful to you, and we look forward to serving you. It's actually a privilege for us to actually serve you, and you are dealing with a company that is the most experienced in providing services. This is something that we do with passion, and we want you to be part of that, and you to give us the opportunity to serve you for the pleasure of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Nothing else but the pleasure of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala bless you and your family, certainly reward you for your intention to perform Hajj, make your path easy for you to go to His house and accept your Hajj and your supplications. سبحانك اللهم وبحمدك نشهد أن لا إله إلا أنت نستغفرك ونتوب إليك. السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته.